Hello and welcome. Thank you so much, whoever is able to join in this live session. This will be a quick session. I was like delaying this session. Didn't want to share too much of my personal journey because thought, whether people will resonate, not resonate. But there were like questions people asked me that what brought me into mindful living. So I just thought, okay, today I'll make a kind of I'll do this session to just share my story on what brought me into mindful living, right? So I'll keep it quick, I'll keep it short, no long stories, right? Okay. So what happened was that so I have seen a lot of suffering in my life since my childhood. And I had like anxiety issues also, and insecurity and a lot of things. And 2005 is where actually my own kind of lack of completeness with what was happening in my life brought me into spirituality. And I started practicing spirituality, and doing breathing practices and yoga, and and these all things, meditation and all. And these started benefiting me, right? So it was like a very good kind of a progression for me, where I was practicing all these things. But as I went, continued, they become kind of a routine thing. I mean, I was not getting so I had always this kind of a spiritual thirst and a hunger of going deep. So I did not there was this incompleteness in me, lack of a purpose in life, that brought me to spirituality. And I started practicing, and my anxiety reduced. I felt much better, and all those things were happening. But there was something deep that I was yearning for, which I was not getting that contentment, right? And the spiritual organization which I joined, that also I went very deep. And I was organizing courses for them, and a lot of things I was doing. But somewhere I realized that it is mostly on a surface level that I've learned. I have really not gone deep into my in my journey. And uh, and then there was this very difficult period in my life came in around 2013, which started, and to 2017 was a very dark phase of my life. And that is where I was like attending one of the I was doing investment advisory work at that time. So I was attending this one of the seminars where one of the participants uh, he told me that there is a book that I will refer to you. And the book's name was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, right? And he said, this book, you talk about any knowledge about Buddha and all those things, you will, it's like it's an amazing book, just read it. And I was like, I am a voracious reader, I read a lot. Now though my reading has a bit reduced because of the time constraints that I have. So I said, okay, I'll purchase that book. And I purchased that book. And the first few kind of pages that I read, that like blew me off. Like, and I think I've talked in many of my, like, the Hindi videos. I have a Hindi channel also, which I have spoken about this book. So this book actually created, cleared the fog from my life, right? I just realized there was something that this book touched in me. But I was not able to fully digest it, because maybe I was not ready at that time to digest what was there in this book, the power of this present moment. So life happened, and I read the book, and it's okay, I got a very good insights, but I was not applying it in practice. And there it's some in 2017, it was like my business was not picking up as as I had expected, and there were financial crunches, and I had to go back into a job. And that was the time where I was asking all of my friends that, please, if you have any job opportunity, let me know. And it was a very, very difficult time for me. At actually, I people who I did not want to even speak in my career, I had to even go to them and ask for jobs. And that, what that did was that it broke my ego, right? And then what happened was that I started, there was an awakening. See, what basically, uh, what comes as a barrier between us and this reality is our own ego, our own person. It's like a combination of our own patterns and perceptions. Those things basically block the reality, right? So till the time that this ego is there strong in you, you will not be able to enjoy life, because the life is there in this present moment. The ego and these patterns, they will always try to keep you in the past, in the future. So when that ego started to break in me, then I realized, I started to appreciate the life that was all around me. the tree that was there in my society that I always came and went through, but that I was not able to see that tree. When I'm doing this walk, I was not. Then I realized, oh, this flower is there. I have never seen this flower. Now these are silly things, you will think that, but those are the deep things that that those realizations I started getting, that life is there in this moment. So then I realized that I am doing all these practices, all these meditations, all these things, but why they are not taking me deep is because I am not practicing mindfulness in my everyday work, right? And one more thing what I realized was that I can do everything. Mindfulness is like a practice which I can do anytime, anywhere. So that was like a bulb on for me, that, being like a person who was in a job, and, in Mumbai, you are always time pressed because there is this commute and there are long working hours. So I needed something which I do not need to put separate time, right? So apart from my meditation that I used to do, there is now something which I can do like a every day, right? Then what happened was, as I went deep into practicing mindfulness, then I became really, really serious, and I started really implementing it to the core, right? And then, as it's like, as your consciousness level upgrades, as you are ready for learning new things, new books and all start to come in, new books, new knowledge, new masters, new learning come in your life. And in my life, what started to happen was that I came across this book, the teachings of Sri Raman Maharshi. And then I came across this book, I Am That, by Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. Now these are like heavyweight books, right? Um these are not beginner books. And again, I took some time to digest that information. That's why I always say that, do not kind of, if you find some knowledge, some book which is you're not able to digest that knowledge, don't give that book away. Come back to that book after some time. So in my life, my these books have really been my gurus, my, so I have all these books behind me. Even one version of this New Earth that is, I think, behind me, uh, that one version was always in my bag. Whenever I was traveling, I was reading this book, in my train commute and all. And I remember when it was like, in the Mumbai rains, that book actually, what it just totally, book became soggy and everything. And but I've still retained that book. It is there in this shelf, right? Because it is so close to my heart. So there was this, The Power of Now, and there was this, A New Earth, by Eckhart Tolle, which was like, they blew me away. Actually, A New Earth is even deeper, what I will think, from The Power of Now. But what I will suggest is, first read Power of Now, and then come to A New Earth, right? And then what happened, that, okay, then there was this book that came, right? So the books are my masters, my gurus. And uh, I don't know, God sends me knowledge through books, right? Whichever is the best way, So okay, so then I came across this book, Zen Mind, Beginner Mind, that is also there with me, right, till now. That book by Shunryu Suzuki opened me up to Zen. And I realized Zen, it's so simple. Be present in whatever you are doing. Whether you are drinking a cup of tea, whether you are walking, whether you are, even lying down, just be there in that moment, not get clouded by your patterns. If you're listening, just listen to that person, do no other thing. That's why I always say in my videos, just do one thing at a time. And this is like what I'm practicing. It's like I have not reached a certain level and all. No, I'm still in my journey. I'm practicing, and I'm failing every day. I'm failing, right? It's like said that if you fail, as long as you are learning, keep at it, keep failing, right? So it's like, in my mindful journey also, it is all about staying hungry and staying foolish, right? Be hungry and be foolish. Keep making mistakes, keep learning, you know and then slowly what happens is, over time, mindfulness became that one thing. So now what, when I wake up in the day, my first thing, my first prayer is that, God or divine or that higher intelligence, please help me be mindful, more mindful during the day. Because I've started to realize that anything I do with full mindfulness, is where it's worth it, whatever work I'm doing. Or if I'm doing something without mindfulness, even if I achieve something, it is zero, right? So so what happened was that, when I around 2018, I read about that book, Zen Mind, Beginner Mind, and that opened doors for me for Zen. And then there was this thirst for me to go deep into Zen, because Zen is like very simple. It's like bare bones Buddhism. right? No concepts, no theories, simple plain implementation. And then I was like searching for Zen masters, that I need a Zen master because I want to learn. And then there was no one in sight. At least in India I was not finding anyone. There were like Zen monasteries I could find in Ladakh and Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh. And that time was the time when, this whole the I think this 2019 2020, this whole India China conflict started and all. I said no, I will not go there. uh, and I mean, that was too kind of impracticable for me. And then I was like searching. I was like, I subscribed to the San Francisco Zen Center, which is Shunru Suzuki's setup in US. And then but I was not able to connect with that much. And then there was Empty Gate Zen Center, whom I was following, Jason Quiz. I think Jason Quiz, Zen Masters Jason Quiz on YouTube. And his insights I really started liking. But then I came across this ad. I think, I don't know where from. It's like a Facebook. I came across this Rains retreat that was happening. Rains retreat is happening in Plum Village in France, and this Plum Village is founded by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. So I'd read Thich Nhat Hanh's books earlier and all, but I was not very deep into that. Didn't go very deep into. But then when I don't know what made me sign that particular retreat. That is like Rains retreat is what Buddha used to organize every rainy season. There was a retreat, and they had the similar thing in this fashion. They used to have in their tradition. And when I joined, this is a 6 months kind of a online retreat, where there were dharma sessions and dharma talks. And we had those groups in which we used to study. And live sessions were there and all. So it was very very good. And I was really really connected, that I said, okay, if it's Zen, I need to study under the Plum Village tradition, right? So I even took the 5 mindfulness trainings in the Plum Village tradition, precisely on 28th November 2021. I took the 5 mindfulness trainings, which is basically a ceremony where you commit yourself to the 5 precepts of the Buddha, right? And that, like, my kind of whole thing changed. My whatever I was searching, I got. So I have a long way to go, but I'm just sharing my journey. And in 2021, what happened was that um, there was a very very difficult phase I was seeing in my life, in 2021. And when I'm so incidentally, around that time, I came to know about Akashic healing, and I learned Akashic healing, and I was very easily able to connect to my records. And this is maybe a natural ability that I had, from even my childhood. Then in that readings, I discovered that some of the problems that I'm facing have their roots in some misdeeds of my past lifetimes. It's a balancing that I'm doing. And that, like, made me realize that, uh, what is very very important is that, in this life, is that our karma, our action is right. Whatever we do, say, speak, we should be mindful of whether I am creating suffering, more suffering for myself and others, or whether I am reducing suffering for myself and the others, right? So that has to be my path. My mother always used to say, beta karm achhe rakhna, keep your actions good. And I used to say that, what is the, this is a very simple advice. But now I realize the depth of that advice, and what attracted me towards Buddha's teachings was the noble eightfold path, what Buddha gave. One, the noble eightfold path to free yourself from suffering. So having seen suffering in my life, uh, I get inspired from the Buddha. I don't see Buddha as a god. What Thai says beautifully, that Buddha was not God. Buddha was a human who kind of transformed himself to such a level that he got the understanding, how to get free from suffering. And he like put his whole knowledge on a kind of a golden platter, that I have got all that knowledge from my tapasya, and this is the noble eightfold path that I'm giving you. And mindfulness is actually one of the noble eightfold path, right? So mindfulness, see, nowadays what happens is mindfulness is something which is very very secularly used, and it has to be used like that way. Buddha's teachings was not religion also, but it kind of, some people have diluted it so much that, the respect for this practice, which is the 2500-year-old practice, which was given by the Buddha, that respect is not there. Now mindfulness is basically used as, like, for better health, or for, for sleep. See, that also is fine, but I'm trying to say is that mindfulness is much more deeper. It's a spiritual practice. It's a spiritual practice to free us from karma that we have accumulated from our various lifetimes, and these karmas become those patterns that we have in our life, the problems that we face in our life. So in this life, what we need to do is that we need to ensure that in our present, in this moment, whatever we are thinking or speaking or acting or being, we should be more and more mindful of what we are doing. Mindfulness is not, so what I've realized is mindfulness is not just being in the present moment, right? That's like a, you've diluted it to the, ultimately too much. It's about being mindful in whatever we do, being mindful of the consequences. And as per Buddha's knowledge, karma is a very, very, law of karma is a very, very important fundamental part of Buddha's teachings. Whatever, see, my real friends are my actions, right? Kind of, or my real enemies are also my actions. What I do, whatever I do, I will have to kind of bear its consequences. For good actions, I create merits. For poor actions, actions in ignorance, I create kind of demerits, right? And then this whole cycle goes on. So the more I'm mindful, the more I'm able to come out of this cycle of suffering. So that was like the biggest bulb on for me, that there is no like some god that I need to worship, and then that god will become happy, and then that god will bestow some grace on me, or it's basically I have to take responsibility of my life. So that is what I'm trying to do every day. And I say, and I always like being very honest. I feel and I learn. And at that same time in 2021, around October, I came across Siddharth Rajshekar's course. And there I actually got clarity about my life mission, that okay, what is that one thing? I was teaching a lot of other modalities, but that is, what is that one thing that I need to teach? So that one thing is something which I practice myself, and that is mindful living. So I designed my course also on the same lines. So basically what happens is that I'm working on my course. I'm working on my, when the more I work at helping others understand these patterns and come out of these patterns, and through my own experiences, I can only bring my own experiences on the table, right? I can't do anything else, you know so I'm basically, when I'm helping others, I'm also helping myself deepen my understanding of mindfulness. So this is my short, in short, a journey about what attracted me towards mindfulness and Buddha's teachings. I hope I did not want it to be just me. So but still I had to share my story, since some people had requested me to share. So I hope this maybe resonates to you on a certain level. Do please share your thoughts and comments. And if you are also practicing mindful living, or you are also on the path of learning more on going deep into Buddha's teachings, do share with me what you are doing and how you are learning. And I will be very, very happy to understand that. And do stay in touch. This is it. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. Bye.